This is Digivation Network.
From Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, to the global community, including participants from all over the world, you're welcome to this event tagged the World Wide Web Day Celebration with a sub-theme, creating opportunities for a new African digital economy. Welcome.
My name is Bayero Agabi from Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. I sincerely welcome you to this event tagged the World Wide Web Day Celebration, with a sub-team creating opportunities for a new Africa digital economy. The World Wide Web today is a global celebration dedicated to web browsing, online activities that brings wealth of knowledge to your fingertips. It is a chance to celebrate the way the internet created an environment for collaboration and business growth. Look at the policies to grow the space and create a sane and secure Nigeria digital society.
The World Wide Web Day 2021 event, the first of its kind in Nigeria, had in attendance industry stakeholders and dignitaries from various sectors. The theme of the event was creating opportunities for a new digital African economy. The hybrid event was streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom, with huge numbers of online participants contributing to the conversations on the influence of the World Wide Web. Dignitaries present at the event include the first president of the Nigerian Computer Society, Alhaji Ladi Ogunleye, President of Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria and CEO of Medallion Communications, Engineer Ikechukwu Namani, the former Director, Public Affairs Nigerian Communications Commission, Tony Ojobo, and many others.
It is time for digital equity and digital equality. There is a whole lot of divide. All of the things that we have said here, including the presentation that Engineer Namani made. But there is a huge divide, because we are speaking to ourselves here, but there's a huge population that simply not even understand what we're talking about in this place. And digital equity is that no one should be left behind. Everyone should be pulled up. COVID-19 caught the world unprepared, and then that really shows the importance of information. Information is critical and powerful. A whole lot of people in the rural communities didn't have access to the life-saving information that people that were on the internet were getting. It was still business as usual, no social distancing. People were still going to the rural markets because they didn't have information that actually could save lives. And this shows that there is a big digital divide between the urban areas and the rural areas. Big human digital divide. Divide in terms of access, divide in terms of even devices.
We need to understand where we are in the phase. We started from what is basically called 2G, and if you check, that was where communication started as we know it over the years. This focused mainly on people, ability of people to communicate, to exchange messages, to talk to each other. At this phase, we focus mainly on basically just making phone calls and eventually using SMS and other means of data, but mainly for people. Then you go to the 3G world, and this is when the web, as we know it, became very predominant. People being able to do transactions and access information using the web. Web pages were set up, people set up different types for commerce, for education, for health, and eventually we saw a great deal that has evolved to e-business, digital marketing, and the rest of this. At this time, communication has gone just beyond people being able to talk to non-businesses being run within using communication as a tool. Then eventually you've moved to the 4G world, which now you've gone just beyond people, business to things. You no longer look at communication the way it used to be. The major use of communication drastically reduced to the extent that people just making phone call became the least of what you use communication for. It has evolved more into things and businesses evolving. And today we are talking of the 5G world, where you're not just only combining people and things, but you're now looking at smart machines. You are now looking at smart world. Internet of Things has now become the buzzword. And what has all this evolved? How has the world moved? If you can move to the next slide, you see that I just put together what currently is listed as happens every 1 minute on the internet. What you see from 2020 to 2021 is that these things have increased. It has evolved, right? So even your web browsing, from your traditional web browsing, you notice that it has become a smaller part of the other things you do on the internet. And that is why we need to understand the evolution, that web browsing has become a small part of what we do on the internet. It's still a very important and significant part, but the digital world has moved so far that you now do a lot of things, even using your apps. For instance, let me give a simple example. Some of us are accessing this event using Zoom. Now, you are accessing Zoom from two aspects. Some, you have the Zoom app, so you've installed it on either your devices or you've installed it on your laptops. Some are accessing it through the internet, through the World Wide Web, as we call it. Okay, I've had cases where I've had to use both. In some cases, you notice that on one particular platform, it doesn't work well, but if you switch to the other, it works better. So these things coexist, but it's important. But the most important thing out of this is to understand that we've moved to a digital world, and it's here to stay, and it's no longer the future. Back in the days, we used to talk of the future. The digital world is the present. It's no longer the future. And if we are not mindful of that and we don't do things that we need to do, we'll be left behind. Next slide. I'm trying to run through the slides so that I can get to the lead point I want to talk about. Next slide, if you don't mind. It talks about the differences, and we need to understand where things are between your traditional economy and your digital economy. How have things evolved? Back in the days, and we are not too far from Ilupeju Industrial Estate and the Ikeja Industrial Estate, there was a time everything has to do with the size of the building, the facility you've built, okay? And that was what was seen to be the economy at that time. Creation of big factories for manufacturing and the rest of it. Suddenly, if you've been following the news, especially since this year, some of the biggest investment we've discussed coming into Nigeria has come in the area of data centers. There are some millions, hundreds of millions of dollars being invested in building new data centers, even in Lagos as we speak. At least I know of 3 or 4 of those projects running into a minimum of $100 million each. Now, you notice that is if you look at the economy, it has evolved. So people still build factories, but now we are building technology factories. Okay, so gone are the days where you do your brick and mortar. It has gone digital. Back in the days, if you want to buy anything, you have to go to Idumota, Balogu. Now, most of us, I doubt if some of us have visited those markets in a long time, but you still get the same things you traditionally would have done over there just by shopping online. Okay, I know many people that I have not gone to your traditional market for a long, long time. Anything I want to buy, I just go online and it's delivered to me. You pay for it, it's delivered, right? So shopping has also changed. I was talking to somebody, I was talking of newspaper subscription. Back in the days, if you come to my office, you see big piles of newspaper. Every day we buy bunch of these papers, right? Today, we don't do that anymore. We've subscribed for the online versions. We've subscribed for business. A lot of this is online. So it's delivered to your mailbox on a daily basis, right? So you've seen all those changes. The same thing with banking. We've gone from traditional, everybody goes stand at the bank just to do stuff, to now e-banking. The same thing with schools, e-learning and the rest of it. Before COVID, okay, these things were happening. COVID just accelerated them to the next level. The same thing, in one of the recent conference I was speaking, I indicated that in my company, Medallion, since I think either March last year, we've not had the staff work in the office. They've been working remotely. Initially, it started from COVID. We were trying to follow the COVID compliance from the government. But guess what? I suddenly realized that even after COVID, our staff were more efficient working from the homes than in the office. Why? Most of them live very far, Ikorodu and all that. And by the time they spend 4 hours coming to the island, they spend 2 hours to sleep and recover from the traffic. That is already 6 hours. They now work for 1 or 2 hours, go for break, then they start the journey back. By the time they come the next day, they are tired. So we suddenly found out that the productivity rate of our staff, it may not be the same for every company, but for the business we do, our staffs are actually more productive working remotely than the way they were working in the past. So when COVID restrictions were lifted, we took a decision that staff should just work from the home. So as we're speaking, all our staff are still working from the home. Up to down, and it has reached to more productivity from what we can basically see. I can go on and on, but the reality is that the world have changed. What has become viable in terms of assets in the past has changed. Now, if you don't have digital assets as part of your portfolio, you are not rich. You can be, you can have access to money, but it's not to the level of people that have access to this. Okay. Now, let me go to the 2 major slides I want to talk about. If you can roll the slides to page 7 and then page 8, because this is what is key here. Okay, this is from the World Economic Forum. We've moved from World Wide Web to the digital economy web. And it's important we understand this, because if we are to become viable, if we are to become part of the digital age, we need to understand the interlinking that has taken place globally and how the world is now structured. There is a new web, but it's gradually moving from your traditional World Wide Web as being the main thing to the new digital web, where all these things are connected from business, data, digital infrastructure, digital transformation of organization and countries. COVID is a major part of the ecosystem. And then stakeholders capitalization, right? And this is what is called the digital economic value creation. Now, all this is linked together because at the outer rim, you see all the building blocks that creates this new digital economy, and they're all linked together in form of a web. From global health, workforce and employment, human rights, future of healthcare, public finance, data science, you name it. Again, this is very extensive. I won't go into all that. We can talk more a little bit during the panel sections. But the reality is that there is a new web that has been formed, and it is the digital web. And if we are not playing in it, if we don't understand it, we won't take advantage of the opportunities that now exist. This is the future that we are now living in, and it's good to understand it. If you go to the next slide, which I think should be the second to the last one, how does this affect Africa? The same thing, just as you have on the global level, on the African level, we also have the new digital web for Africa. This has to do with Africa agriculture and innovation, leveraging renewable energy for Africa, regional cooperation across Africa. Our brother is going to be talking a little bit about that, I'm sure, because he runs the organization that deals with Africa integration. Secure Africa, security, what are the building blocks that secures Africa? And then driving Africa's growth and transforming Africa. Again, you see on the bigger circle, all the building blocks that makes this happen, issues about the future of energy, biodiversity, Africa response to COVID, workforce, security, innovation, and the rest of it. Now, what are the challenges facing the World Wide Web and digital economy. Dark web. There is a second web out there that most of us don't know about, and realistically, we should not know about it, or we should not get involved. It's called the dark web. The same way we all operate in the, let me call it light web now, if I may choose that phrase, which is the one we are all used to. There is a dark web out there that is growing. It's a dark side of the world that has all kinds of issues going on there. Fake news is a major challenge, which we've all talked about. You don't know what is true anymore. You receive information, you pass it across, and you don't know if it's true or not. You only find out after the fact that what you've just spread is actually not accurate, and it's a major challenge. Now, the combination of all this has led to censorship, both from government standpoint and from institutions, because in the process of trying to control wrong information or fake news, we are now seeing some elements of censorship, which unfortunately goes directly against the purpose of the internet and the World Wide Web. At the foundation of these two is openness to information. But when you're not seeing censorship from a state or various elements in response to the dark web or fake news, then it's a challenge on its own that must be addressed. Now, at the heart of all this is cybersecurity. Well, I'm happy there's some form being shared. It's a project I'm also part of where we do the annual cybersecurity report. I will still encourage all of us to fill out that form, and then hopefully when the report is out. And by the way, this report, we've been doing it for many years, is for free. Nobody pays for it. I'm sure most of us here should have gotten previous copies of the report. It's always given out for free. So it's purely for education and information purpose. And I think I see Mrs. Beatrice, who runs that event. She's also here. Mrs. Beatrice, can you wave? Let them recognize you. Yeah, she runs the cybersecurity report. Please, let's encourage them by filling out that form and make sure it happens. So again, I'm going to let the other speakers speak, and then I should be ready to respond to some of the questions that we have. Thank you.
Speaking virtually, the president of Nigerian Internet Registration Association, Mohammed Rudman, spoke on the need to leverage technology to address pressing challenges.
So without education, we'll be left behind. But that education, for me, internet is critical, it's important. It has to be available. Even it has to also be affordable, because substantial part of Nigerians, for example, if you are to put 4G across Nigeria right now, how many people can afford the data bundle? How many people can afford the devices to browse that? So let's assume that you solve the problem of availability and affordability. You have another issue of accessibility. A lot of people cannot speak English language, and by default, people that can only speak Igbo and Yoruba and Hausa language cannot participate on the internet. So we need to find a way to make it accessible. And I'm rounding up this to say that education is the key. So government should find a way to quickly find innovative ways of creating local content in local languages, especially for primary and secondary education. If you have people that can read and write, you can give them access to information and you can guide them. In this age of fake news and all this bad information, internet, of course, is a tool. It can be used with a double-edged sword. It can be used for the good and it can be used for the bad. So I think what we should focus in as a country, honestly, is to find innovative ways to educate our children and our populace using local languages, using local content that will be hosted locally, and that will be affordable. I think that's my own area of say, okay, let's reflect and find out really what can we use with this technology to solve most of our problems. And most of these problems, if you narrow down, as I said, the common denominator is education. And the only way to jumpstart education is to use technology, because as Nigeria, as a government, cannot afford build all the secondary schools. There are right now, I think, is it 20,000, they said, secondary schools in Nigeria, and they are not sufficient. And you have more than 10 million children that are out of school.
We know that we consume quite a lot of services online, and some of those services we do not get to pay for it. The truth is that to an appreciable extent, we are paying with our privacy for the services that we are receiving. However, how far the intrusion or how permeating these technologies will allow them to take on, and privacy is a different ballgame entirely, and different appetites for different people. But generally speaking, I will comment around digital economy as it has to do with security, cyber security generally. And I have listened to quite a lot of the other speakers discuss around inclusion, digital access for the unserved and the underserved. And I'm really, really blown away that we're having this conversation and we're having it at this scale. And I'm excited that we're having this.
Highlights of the World Wide Web Day event include goodwill messages from the Director General of Nigerian Information and Technology Agency NITDA, Malam Kashifu Inuwa, the President of Nigerian Computer Society, Professor Adeshina Shodia, President of Digital Bridge Institute, Engineer Mohammed Ajia, and many others.
In important events like this, we can reflect on how Nigeria and Africa at large have used the web to create opportunities for the citizenry. Since the invention of the Wide Web 3 decades ago by Tim Berners-Lee, it has revolutionized our ways of life. The World Wide Web is one of the ways people access the information on the internet. Its positive impact on humanity is invaluable. This impact ranges from governance, agriculture, job creation, businesses, healthcare, education, to mention a few. Ladies and gentlemen, let's imagine our life today without the web. The opportunities created by the web in driving the digital economy are enormous. According to the International Finance Corporation report, the African digital economy future is valued at $180 billion US. Similarly, according to McKinsey, the digital economy in Africa is expected to grow to over $300 billion US by 2025. The World Economic Forum also predicts that over 60% of the world GDP will be digitized by 2022. And that within the next decade, digital platforms will be used to create close to 70% of the new value. The web plays a crucial role in achieving all these projections.
I commend CICAD and Cyber Africa magazine for bringing this pertinent event to fruition. The event's theme, the World Wide Web, creating opportunities for a new African economy, is extremely commendable, as is its focus on finding the best ways to use the internet for good, for economic development, especially through youth empowerment and entrepreneurship, and for creating a sustainable digital economy. This is particularly apt given the aspiration of the federal government to move Nigeria towards maturity and competitiveness through the development of a digital economy based on the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. With the biggest economy in Africa and one of the largest populations of youth in the world, Nigeria is well positioned to build a robust digital economy that can transform the country's socio-economic landscape. I have no doubt that the ideas shared and the decisions held here today will contribute in no small measure to the realization of this aspiration. Incidentally, the development of a robust digital economy through ICT training for youth empowerment and enabling digital entrepreneurship is one of our key areas of focus at Digital Bridge Institute, established by the Nigerian Communications Commission to build human capacity in ICT and telecommunications.
There were insightful panel sessions along with awards given to speakers and organizations for their impact in the digital tech space. panel sessions focused on issues such as cybersecurity, increased inclusion of women in ICT, and financial inclusion.
Infrastructure deficit in Nigeria cannot just be quantified just on one day. One of the key things that we've seen what I call a reusal of same technologies. We've seen a situation whereby many a times, I recall we were dealing with one infrastructure. I'm sure the person that did the installation is here. And then we're having issues doing a last mile delivery to a particular site. And this is a tech company, one of the biggest players in the telecoms industry, that we installed an equipment for like 10 years back. And we're still seeing the same infrastructure in this jet age. So definitely they can never have 5G, not in the next 2-3 years, except they have a quick revamp of their infrastructure. I'm talking of just 2 years ago, and then we're using an equipment that was installed 10 years ago. We know companies need to also invest in technologies. Africans need to invest more. You're not going to depend on government to invest on infrastructure when it comes to digital technologies. They can only encourage the sector to invest more. So in my own take, while government is giving the enabling environment for businesses to survive in the ecosystem or the tech space of especially those who are some who are in the infrastructure space, I would like to see a better. We'll see a lot of data centers springing up. I'd like to see a lot of infrastructures being improved upon. There are so many places in Lagos that don't have fiber. I'm talking of Lagos that has it all. There are lots of places you need to go to Far East, Adamawa. I can tell you, there are places you can't even see 2G. And I can tell you there are places that are still underserved, even unserved. We are involved in the project, and I found out that in a couple of places where we think there is at least some form of data, nothing is happening there. So I know the population, or we'll say, oh, there's we have a lot of we have like over 60 million, 70 million internet users in Nigeria, or more, or 100 and something. But the truth is this: some of us have like 2-3 service providers, and so that calls for that number. So if we want to look at the real users, it's not that same percentage. So I'm seeing a future where companies, I'm talking of the private sector, investing more in infrastructure. And let me tell you one thing: the more you invest in those infrastructure, the more your own economy expands to. Thank you.
Really appreciative of many women standing up in the space of ICT in recent times to also stand as an encouragement for people that are upcoming. I think many a times the issue we have with the girl child coming into STEM is basically because they don't have people to run to. But by the time we have more women coming into STEM as already made leaders, they have the opportunity is there now to go to people and learn. The girl child is very important, particularly when it comes to the digital economy we're talking about and all. Because as a woman, you know, we have a special room to even carry better ideas. Thank you.
I like the facts, like my colleague said, that the media has a role to play in this. Now, I'm going to come from another angle to add to that, and that is to encourage our youths to deviate from usual chatting, snapping pictures, Snapchat, and doing mundane things on social media. People are really making big bucks, impacting lives, posting things, content that are noteworthy, that will be earning good money. So we need to start moving from the traditional use of Facebook, social media, Snapchat, and all that, and start using these things in a very productive and rewarding way. And that is also part of the duty of our media and, those around. So, yeah.
Irene Omije, his Enterprise Accounts Manager for InfoBip. He'll be speaking on behalf of Mr. Olatayo. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I would like to thank you for joining this session. My name is Irene Omije with InfoBip. I hope everyone is feeling comfortable and you can hear me loud and clear. So, we live in an increasingly digital world. The world has gone extremely digital from what we used to know it. 5 years ago, no one would have imagined the possibilities and the impact the internet will have in our lives. The ability for seamless communication between people, gadgets, and processes across different industries, be it in the financial industry, e-commerce, healthcare, agriculture, education, and even governance. Everything has some form of digital footprint, right? And so this brings me to my topic of today, which is improving digital economy through seamless customer engagement and customer experience. Before we start, I would like to say who we are and what we do for those who don't know InfoBip. Right? InfoBip is a global cloud communication provider. We provide omnichannel platforms that enable organizations to communicate with their customers across different channels, be it SMS, email, voice, chatbot, WhatsApp, even across social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and whatever you. To be able to deliver consistent customer experience in a fast, secure, and reliable way through customers' preferred channels. And some of the benefits of the solution we provide in this digital age is reach. We provide channels that everyone uses on their mobile phones. We also provide channels that give instant delivery. So depending on the quality of your service provider, you will receive delivery in a matter of seconds. Time critical information like your OTPs or transaction SMS, what have you. We also provide channel of preference. And what that means is the younger generation will probably like to communicate via WhatsApp or chatbots, but the older generation will rather communicate via phone call or SMS. So we provide those channels available to organizations to be able to engage their customers. We also provide channels that give you high open rates. Statistics have shown that most messages are read between minutes of receiving them. So you're able to engage your customer quickly and effectively. Part of the vision of InfoBip is to create seamless and life-changing interaction between businesses, people, and things. Today, our platform is used by over 60% of the world population, and our connections have reached at least 7 billion people. I can say that everyone on this call today, excuse me, has had to use InfoBip service one way or the other, whether it's receiving an OTP from the bank or your transaction SMS, or whether it's you booking an Uber or getting marketing messages, from the like of Domino's and Co. So everyone has had to interact with InfoBip services.
The convener of the World Wide Web Day 2021 event, Dr. Bayero Agabi, the president of Center for Cyber Awareness and Development, spoke on the importance of the internet in this digital era. According to him, access to the internet ought to be a fundamental human right.
It is with you to the extent that if you can't hear it, you feel it. It is with you to the extent that it is changing the skill set. It is with you to the extent that it's changing industries. It is with you to the extent that it's eliminating industries and creating new industries that most people never knew. It is with you to the extent that it's creating new skills and eliminating older skills that the world never knew of. You can't but discuss this kind of innovation that has brought about this kind of huge change from education to health, the media itself. Today, a three-man crew can come up with something that they can give a terrestrial broadcaster a run for their money. Before now, for you to be a broadcaster, you needed a transmitter, you needed so many other things, dishes and all of those things and all that, spending billions of naira. Today, you don't need that. There are bloggers, there are YouTubers who smile to the bank every month with over $500,000. That is quite a lot of money. Okay? There are just skit makers, in terms of comedy, that is its impact on comedy, who makes a lot of money. And not only making money, they also make fame. So you broadcast yourself. That is just the impact on the media. And if you take a look at the print is almost going extinct. And because before the news gets to the print level and all of that, it's already everywhere. Even for broadcast, before you get to your station to edit, to write and all of those, the news is everywhere and all of that. So those are the kind of impact. What does that require? It requires new shift in thinking, new ideas, new knowledge, and new skills. Okay, so now we come to the business end of it. Before now, we go to shopping centers, Modena shopping center, and all of those kind of things and all that. Today, I think Jumia sells more than ShopRite. Okay? Konga sells more than ShopRite. And that is why ShopRite is moving out of Nigeria. So what does that require? New skills. So you have to develop new skills to survive the wave that the internet has brought. You have to create new industries to survive the new wave that the internet has brought. So it has come to empower us. For those who cannot cope with the new skills and empowerment, then the fate of the dinosaur befalls them, because there's no way, other than to adapt, relearn, unlearn, and relearn, so that you can move forward, with the new industry.
One of the speakers at the event, popular actor and comedian Kunle Ido, aka Frank Donga, spoke on the influence and opportunities the web avails many youths in Nigeria.
Looking for a job, getting admission to schools, getting entertained. Everything is now tending towards the use of the internet, health, a whole lot of things. So it can be overemphasized that the internet, personally, to me, has been very helpful in my career education. As a comedian, as an actor, I get offers for jobs, invitations to come on projects through the internet. If the internet were to be shut down, I will be restricted to probably the regular 3G phone calls, and maybe that will be affected too. So you can't overemphasize the fact that the internet has come to stay, and it has played a very important role in my life personally, and those of very many other people watching, I'm sure.
Well, it connects Nigeria to the world, and also it makes the world smaller. So what you find is that with the internet, at least before, where news travels, it takes longer to get. Things are instantaneous both ways in terms of people seeing, putting Nigeria on the map, people seeing more about Nigeria, understanding what we do, and understanding that we're part of the progress of the world. So I think it's quite vital to our growth and development.
We want to thank God for the availability of the www and the internet. We now don't have any excuse not to be part of it technically in the world. Okay, anything you want to Google it. You'll find more than what you bargain for. Okay, and without the internet, without www, World Wide Web, we won't be able to do this. So we don't have any excuse to not be part of it.
Oh, the importance of internet service. So far, so good. Internet service is a backbone of so many things we do, and it is a age of technology. And without internet service, practically we can't even do anything, in any sector. So there are huge opportunities that internet service we've gotten from internet service in Africa, and I don't think there's any sector that can do without internet service now, And, well, there are so many things I can say. Is it driving our businesses to the activities and cyber securities, and there are so many things in the internet service opportunities gotten so far. So, yeah.
Because it has in every way, not just my profession, but everybody, life generally. I mean, that's the next big thing after manufacturing. The next thing is internet. So it's influencing in so many ways how I do things, how everybody does things. For example, if I want to go from here to the airport now, I need to use the internet to check Google Maps, and everything we do. When going over to the Internet of Things, right now I can forget to turn off my lights, and I use the internet to turn it off while I'm at the office. So it's changed. It's a game changer. It's done a 360 degrees for how we do business, how we live our lives, how we do things generally. So it's 360 degrees turnaround.
Why was the World Wide Web created? If I want to cite Tim Berners-Lee very well, he says, in one word, for everyone. And so that hashtag for everyone is still alive today. The reason the World Wide Web was created was to offer a technology platform for everyone to access, to use, and to contribute. So every time we speak about the World Wide Web, you need to ask yourself, does everyone have access? Is everyone able to contribute? Is everyone able to use it? So access, use, and contribution are the major reasons why the web was created, again, for everyone. So as long as we don't have everyone connected to the World Wide Web, as long as we don't have everyone able to use it, capacity to use digital technical infrastructure, all of that is part of our concern. And everyone able to contribute, having the skills, having the laws, having the means to contribute. So that's my first thing I want to lay down to everyone listening to us. The reason the World Wide Web was created is for everyone to access it, to use it, and to contribute to it. Where is the World Wide Web today? We have half the population who are online, so we still have a whole lot. But after the pandemic, or during this pandemic we are all in, we've seen that the World Wide Web is no longer luxury, it is a lifeline. If you're not existent on the web today, it's as if you do not exist in reality. And so one of the things we want to call our attention to is that we at the Web Foundation, and that is part of my role within the UN, is to ensure and advocate for the World Wide Web access to the internet to be a basic human right. Because without the internet, without access to the web today, you could hardly school, you can hardly train, you could hardly teach, you could hardly work, you could hardly do any banking. And I think the earlier speakers have mentioned the digital economy and even the future economy. So for us, where we are today is that the World Wide Web is no longer a luxury, is no longer a northern versus southern, poor versus rich thing. No, we think the time has come for access to the internet and access to the World Wide Web to be a basic human right. Where do we want to go? So first, we know why the web was created, where we are today. Where do we want to go? From the World Wide Web Foundation, we want to go further than where we are today. We want the digital economy to be that which will benefit everyone. We want citizen space to be that which will be powered by the World Wide Web. We would like governance to be powered by the World Wide Web. We'd like governments to use it to keep in contact with their citizens, but also citizens to use the World Wide Web to solve their own problems and the problems of other people. We would like the World Wide Web to contribute to security offline and online, and to be the building rock for the respect, the promotion, and the protection of human rights.
The event provided an avenue to celebrate the impact of the web in different areas and further explore the opportunities to promote a digital Nigeria.
The panel sessions also stressed on the need for governments, civil societies, and industry stakeholders to collaborate to ensure that more opportunities are created in this digital age. Reporting for Digivation Network, I am Adaze Okiaine for the World Wide Web Day 2021.
This